Welcome back to Elevation 44. It's your girl B. If you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back, family. So, sorry, I had to just check real quick, make sure the mic is plugged in because there is a lot of background noise. Every time I come outside to sit and film, that's when people want to cut the grass, that's when they want to pick up the trash, all kinds of things. So, gotta make sure that mic is plugged in so we can filter out that background noise. But like I was saying, if you're new to the channel, welcome. If you're returning, welcome back. We are diving in today into this Gemini new moon solar eclipse. Yes, we have another eclipse, okay? Because it's eclipse season, all right? So this new moon / solar eclipse is happening on Thursday, June 10th, and it's happening at 6:53 a.m. Eastern time. So you're gonna have to translate that to your local time zone, of course, right? So before I dive into this Gemini new moon and this solar eclipse, let's just talk about or touch base a little bit on how you're feeling. How are you feeling after this last eclipse that we just had less than 2 weeks ago, right? Some of you might be watching this at the time or after this eclipse happened, so this will be right around the 2-week mark. And that eclipse, of course, brought in a lot for a lot of people because that eclipse was definitely sandwiched in between 2 retrogrades, Saturn retrograde and Mercury retrograde. So the eclipse by itself is a lot, but then with those 2 energies right around it all in the same week, it was a lot for a lot of people. You know, retrogrades already have a way of, you know, bringing in things or bringing up things from the past, bringing in people from the past. So that's been really interesting to see play out, especially because this Mercury retrograde is happening in its home sign of Gemini, which means that the effects are stronger there, which means that all of the Mercury retrogradeness is definitely at its peak, okay? It's at its strongest. And then, you know, we got Jupiter in Pisces, a lot of bizarre, strange, vivid dreams. A lot of people are having a lot of intense dreams, a lot of dreams that make no sense. There's just a lot going on in the dream world with that. Then there's just like weirdness happening around the eclipse that, you know, sometimes your eating habits change, your sleeping habits change, you're getting by with a lot less sleep, or you find that you're waking up super early, or you just, you know, you're just kind of all over the place with your sleeping and eating habits. So there's just a lot. There's a lot going on. There is a lot going on. So I just want to touch base. Let me know in the comments down below how you're dealing with all of that, okay? Like I said, now this is another eclipse upon us, okay? So now we have all of this energy associated with this eclipse, with this solar eclipse, and solar eclipses tend to be just more intense in general than lunar eclipses. Lunar eclipses are just more subtle. Solar eclipses are bam, in your face. They're more focused on the outside, the external, okay? So when a solar eclipse comes, this coincides with a new moon always, and the new moons are times where new things are planted, new seeds are planted. If you think about it in terms of seasons, this is the equivalent of like a spring season where you would put, you know, your seeds in the ground so that, you know, you can get your crops, you can get your harvest. This new moon that coincides with the solar eclipse is like a new doorway opening, new portal of energy that gets ushered in, okay? This eclipse specifically is happening at 19 degrees. Now, 19, 1 plus 9 in numerology then reduces back to the number 1. 1 is all about new beginnings. So this is a lot of fresh, new energy that is being ushered in, associated with new beginnings, and it's definitely going to be something that is seen, felt, heard, everything on every level, okay? So again, the solar eclipses, unlike lunar eclipses, lunar eclipses are more focused on internal transformation. Solar are about what you can see. It's all about the external transformation. It's tied to the ego. It's tied to your identity. It's about change that is about identity transformation, okay? Again, any eclipse, whether solar or lunar, definitely the changes can be seen over and felt over 6 to 12 month span, okay? But with solar eclipses, because they're more intense, they're more in your face, they're more out there, those effects can be seen, that transformation can be seen in as little as 6 weeks, okay? So solar eclipses are no joke. Like, they are really, really intense, and that is why, right? Because it is that new portal, it is that new doorway that opens up to usher something in, okay? So with this solar eclipse, or this new moon being in the sign of Gemini, we are definitely once again in that mutable energy, okay? So the Sagittarius lunar eclipse was that mutable energy, and we are seeing it again with this solar eclipse. And what is mutable energy? It's adaptable energy. It's teaching us how to be flexible. It's teaching us how to be accepting and open to change, which we need because we are being pushed forward into change, right? Changes are happening all around us, and we have to have that flexibility in order to, you know, be able to go along with where we're supposed to go. And so this has been happening for a while, but this energy is continuing to happen to support us and to push us in that direction so that we get comfortable with the change that is happening, okay? Now, with Gemini being the polarity to Sagittarius energy, we are talking about the lower mind aspects this time with this eclipse. So with the Sagittarius lunar eclipse, it was focused on those higher mind aspects, wisdom, which is knowledge applied, the expansion, global, like it's focused on like the big encompassing picture, right? With the lower mind aspects of Gemini energy, we are focused more on what we can see, what's in close proximity to us, okay? So it's more about locality, okay? And it's about putting a focus on our thinking, our communications, and really our learning, okay? So that is really specifically what this energy is, you know, highlighting for us. It's not about the broad, expansive thinking. It's about, again, what is local, what is right in front of us, and processing that. So being near the North Node, this eclipse is kind of the opposite of what we experienced 2 weeks ago with the Sagittarius full moon. That was near the South Node, which was really focused on our past. It was really focused on karma. It was really focused on like coming to terms with the past, releasing the past so that we can move forward. This is the opposite to that, because this eclipse, this new moon, is actually going to be near the North Node, which is our future. It's our destiny. It's where we're moving towards. So with this eclipse being in the vicinity of the North Node, we're really talking about triggering another level of spiritual awakening, okay? So you can be feeling a little bit weird, right? You can be feeling like, am I still in the same timeline? Things feel a little bit odd, a little bit weird, a little bit different. And it doesn't mean that it necessarily feels bad. It just feels like you just like awakened to another level, that you're in another level, or you're in another layer that you weren't previously aware of before. So I just want to say and put that out there, that is something that is definitely being felt by a lot of us because of this triggering of the next level of spiritual awakening. Then we also have this heightened sense of purpose or awareness, asking the questions of why are we here, coming back to those. Really, what is this? What is this about? The purpose, the meaning of things. So that is something else that is taking center. And as a result of that, we can find the rhythm of our lives changing, right? What we were used to, that rhythm, that, you know, that routine, that thing that we had just kind of going, is now changing because our role is changing. We're embracing something new and different, and that requires that our responsibilities are changing, which then changes the rhythm of our lives. So all of this is kind of like working in tangent with, you know, the energy that is being highlighted during this new moon and this eclipse, right? So what we really need to be focused on is our intuition. Our intuition is lighting the way forward for us. Just like when you're in the dark outside at night and you have those lights on the path, you know, on your walkway to show you how, you know, to light up the path ahead to walk forward. That is what our intuition is doing for us here. That's why we need to lean heavily on our intuition to light that pathway forward for us. And that requires that we trust ourselves in the process, because we doubt ourselves a lot, and we really need to put a lot of trust into ourselves and to follow that intuition, okay? This is, again, focusing on leaving those old ways of thinking behind, because in order to embrace the new, you have to let go of the old ways of thinking, of doing, of being, behind. And that's really what that Sagittarius lunar eclipse 2 weeks ago was helping us do. Okay, so this is really, again, doubling down on that. And this is all about trying to develop new strengths, learn new things, because new opportunities, prosperity, and things are arriving for those who are ready for them. Okay, so you really need to be paying attention to what is happening right now, because it is big. And if you are not paying attention, and if you are not aligned, then you're going to really miss out on some big things coming in that can be very advantageous to you. Okay, now you also want to be paying attention to what house that this eclipse or this new moon is falling in for you. I always leave the details down in the description box on where you can pull that chart and how you can figure out what area that this the new moon is falling in for you, because that is going to highlight where you're going to see those major changes. Like, again, those solar eclipses, the changes are overt, they're external, you can see them, and they're major. And you want to be paying attention to what house it's falling in, because that's where you're going to see that change, and that's where it's going to be very prominent. So that is the focus or the area of life. So make sure you hit the description box so you can find that. Okay, now let's get into the transits, because there are a couple transits happening, and I'm only talking about the transits that are the moon, the new moon is making, or the eclipse is making with the other planets. We're not going to talk about everything. If you really want to know about all the transits that are happening right now during Gemini season, I have a whole video for that I will also link down in the description box, so you can kind of get a lay of the land. But let's just get right into the transits of the new moon. So the first one is that the moon is going to be conjunct, and I mean not just a regular conjunction, like a tight conjunction with Mercury. Okay, and a conjunction, if you're new to astrology, is just a blending of energy. The two planets get together and their energies kind of like, it's almost like you're making a soup and everybody's throwing something in. That's like what a conjunction is. It's just like a whole melting pot of energies between those two planets. Okay, now this tight conjunction with Mercury, which is also retrograde right now, is definitely interesting, because it is definitely doubling down on the communications, information, learning piece of this whole puzzle. Okay, now Mercury retrogrades in general are a time to review. It's a time to go back and look at what was missed. Okay, but it being in Gemini, again, it's felt its strongest here. This is where we're going to feel Mercury retrograde really, really wreaking havoc. Okay, so this is about going back to what was previously review what was previously missed, because we need to take time to review information and connect the dots. Really take time to listen, to process what is being presented to you. And why is this important? Because the details matter. In order to move forward, you have to really digest and pay attention to the details. And the reason for that is because this is a prime scammer's energy. Deception energy is at an all-time high. And in order for you not to be deceived, not to be taken down the wrong path, you have to pay attention to the information, you have to pay attention to the details, and you really have to understand it, you really have to overstand it, you really have to understand it at this level. Okay, and that is what this is helping us do. Okay, what's also helping us positively with this transit is that we are being supported with, again, strong intuition, mental alertness. We're going to be able to have that level of curiosity that is needed to ask the right questions and put everything together. That mutability is definitely helping us, or providing openness and acceptance of a different thing, so we can understand and process the information in a different way that we weren't able to do before. And again, we're going to need that as we move forward. We're going to need this info. Okay. One thing I will say on the negative side of this, conjunction between these two planets is that our emotional sensitivity is definitely up there, especially since we also have Jupiter in Pisces, Neptune in Pisces. So the deception, the emotional sensitivity is definitely high. So you can allow your emotional state or sensitivity to cloud your judgment or the common sense aspect of things. So definitely want to make sure that you are, keeping tabs on that and not allowing your emotions to drive you in the wrong direction. So I would also avoid making any important decisions under this, because this is a time of review and reflecting and studying, not a time of like making actual like decisions right now that will be impactful. Okay, so this is about, again, learning and making the plans. That is really what this is about. So then the next transit we have is that this moon is going to be trining, which is a very harmonious exchange of energy. It's very synergistic energies, within the same element with Saturn, okay? Because Saturn is an Aquarius, Gemini is an air sign, Aquarius is an air sign. So they just get each other. Very, very compatible. Now, Saturn is also retrograding. So this is again taking us back to the whole rewards, review, reflect, reassess, all of that type of thing. So this Saturn in Aquarius, again, to just remind you, what is the fight with Saturn in Aquarius? It's really about freedom versus restriction, the old way of doing things versus the new way of doing things. That is what this is about. So it's a real review about that, okay? So keep that in mind. We are really trying to grasp the information so that we're not making the same mistakes going forward. Again, this is helping us have strong instincts so that we can make the right decisions moving forward. We're really focused on the long-term goals and objectives. And there is an added strength that Saturn is giving us to take on the more responsibility. So when we are talking about taking on these new roles, embracing our purpose, embracing the new path forward, new levels of responsibilities are required. And this is helping us get comfortable with that and not feeling that added stress that you would typically feel when you take on those new responsibilities, okay? This is also prime energy for receiving achievement or acknowledgement for the prior efforts that you have put in. So this can be a very, very rewarding time for those who have been putting in the work, okay? And this is also about passing on knowledge, okay? Because that Gemini aspect is about sharing information, but more so it's like, what have you learned? What kind of knowledge have you learned? What can you pass along to the next generation, to those coming behind you, so that they don't have to walk the same path or make the same mistakes that you made, okay? And the last and final transit that we're going to be talking about is that the moon is going to be squaring Neptune, okay? Now, Neptune is in Pisces, which is his home sign. Neptune is about our, spirituality, our faith, our dreams, our sensitivity, our emotions, our compassion, our imagination. This is what Neptune really encompasses for us. But that square, which means tension, it's like, we're beefing. I don't really like you. You don't really like me. We're not really seeing eye to eye right now. And, I don't really want to mess with you. But we're locked in this room together, and you're gonna feel this tension, okay? So that's really what is happening when this square is happening between the moon and Neptune. But what this is doubling down is the increased sensitivity, okay? And we have to be especially careful because we still have Jupiter in Pisces with Neptune in Pisces. That is already heightening our sensitivity. Now this is going to increase it even more, right? The confusion and deception is really what we have to be careful of, not in just the sensitivity aspect, but really the confusion and deception. Be questioning everything that is presented to you. And again, that is why this new moon, the solar eclipse, is really highlighting that Mercury retrograde aspect of reviewing the information, paying attention to the details, okay? Because there's so much deception that is present right now, okay? This can have you questioning your reality. And you know what? You need to be questioning your reality right now. Everything, just question everything. So that is it in terms of the transits are happening. I'm going to talk about the herbs and crystals. Now, the herb that I would recommend you working with under this moon is definitely ginkgo, which is going to help with your mental clarity because that is what is necessary right now, okay? The crystals that I would recommend working with are sodalite, which is also great for mental clarity and your intuition, and howlite, which is great for absorbing new knowledge because that's what's necessary at this time, all right? We're paying attention to the details. We're absorbing new things. All right, so the rituals that we're going to talk about, and when I talk about rituals under new moon or energy, I'm really talking about setting intentions. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a whole video on how to work with the new moon or the dark moon, how to set intentions. So I'm going to go ahead and link that down in the description box as well, because if you want to know how to set intentions, that explains everything. But I'm going to kind of quickly go over some of the things or the areas that you can pay attention to when you're setting intentions. The first would be boosting your confidence as you're stepping into your new roles or responsibilities. So setting some intentions around that, you know, being more embracing of the new things that are coming in and being more comfortable stepping into your role and taking on that added responsibilities, okay? Setting some intentions around learning new things that are going to support your long-term goals of where you're going, what you're doing, what you need to, you know what I mean? That is what we should be focusing on. So when we're learning new things, we're just not learning new things for the hell of learning new things. It's with intention. It's with a purpose in mind, okay? The next thing is setting some intentions around improvement of your communication, because this is, again, this is about sharing information. Not only are you absorbing, what am I learning, but you're also sharing out what you've learned to others, okay? So this is really about sharing your ideas, listening more. So you might want to be doing or working on some throat chakra, you know, balancing. I have a whole video on how to work on balancing your throat chakra, and I have products for that as well. So I'm going to link that down in the description as well. You guys have plenty of resources. The next thing that you should be setting some intentions around is, you know, accepting or embracing new things easily, new ideas, new concepts, just embracing the new, okay? But also being able to use your a level of discernment when being presented new things, when embracing new things, but being discerning at the same time. So setting some new intentions in those areas, all right? And then also setting some intentions around enhancing your social skills. Yes, we talked about the communication aspect, but more so the social skills that require you to work in community, because this is really about the proximity, your locality, right? What's around you and being involved in a community. How do you need to be involved in your community? Are you involved in your community? What kind of role do you play? Do you need to be in, like, you need to be asking yourself those questions and how, you know, that kind of plays out for you, because we don't grow in isolation. We grow in community. And I know there has been a lot to try to kind of divide us so that we are all siloed, but that's not how things work. We have to have some sense of community. So what community are you a part of, and how do you need to contribute, and what's your role in that community? Those are the questions or the intentions that you need to be setting around this time. And then just calming mental anxiety. Honestly, a lot of us can get anxious, especially when we're talking about change, we're talking about new things, we're talking about the unknown. But life is a big unknown. You don't know what's going to happen a minute from now, an hour from now, 2 days from now, a month from now. We really don't know. So it really is about calming your mental anxiety around change and just learning to roll and, you know, ride the wave, go with the flow. That is all I had for you today. I hope that you got something valuable out of this video. I hope that this gave you an idea to kind of like what to focus on during this solar eclipse, okay? Gemini gang gang, where you at? Gemini moon, Gemini rising, Gemini sun, Gemini Mars, Gemini Mercury's, where y'all at? Hit me up in the comments down below. If you do not have a Gemini placement, what does Gemini rule in your chart? Okay, what house does it rule? It rules my 6th house. So, yeah. That is interesting. That is interesting. The duality of the 6th house is very, very interesting. But that is something that I have to work with. And, you know, it's an advantage, and sometimes it can be a disadvantage in certain ways. But, you know, we are rolling through it. We are rolling. Okay, so I will see you all in the next video. Again, please comment, share, subscribe, you know the deal. And then look out, because I have a lot. I was gonna count. I have a lot more videos coming. Make sure you hit the subscribe button so you can be in the know, okay? So I will see you all very soon. Happy new moon. Happy solar eclipse, I think. Yeah. See you guys soon. Bye. Peace.